There are two dominant barriers to inclusive education in Pakistan. Before we look at the barriers, let us take a look at a brief history and background that led to these barriers. When a journey towards inclusive education was ready to take off, the federal government devolved Education Ministry to provincial governments. There was a time when the federal government was ready to go ahead with inclusive education, but before their plan could be implemented, the ministries of education were handed over to the provincial governments. The provincial governments are not conceptually very clear what to do next, because this was a sudden move. Nobody had forewarned them. There was no planning time for the provincial governments to take over. The federal government simply said, take over the ministries of education and you deal with education in the provinces yourself. At the provincial level, the movement of inclusive seems losing its momentum because of two barriers. Although when the ministry was handed over to the provinces, the plan for inclusive education was also passed down. But the people in the provinces had no idea what this plan was, what inclusive education was all about, and this was a new thing for them too. And the two dominant barriers really are attitudes of ordinary school teachers and attitudes of special education teachers. So the barriers really are the teachers, the normal teachers in general classrooms and the special teachers in the segregated classrooms for these children. First, they feel that they are not fully competent and supported for this major shift, and it will be difficult to create a welcoming environment for children with special needs, even if they're really willing to do it. What the provincial government felt was they were not ready to take this on. It would be an added responsibility. The children and the teachers in the regular classrooms were not prepared to take in children with disabilities. After all, the teachers would need to be trained in how to handle these children with disabilities also. Second, the public school is already under furious criticism for its extremely low educational standards. The inclusion of special children will further deteriorate the quality of instruction and the school may collapse. The public schools, the government schools already are under criticism with low standards of education, with normal children. Now add to that classroom some children with disabilities, the standards will certainly fall. You have to work, you have to be prepared, you have to have accommodations in mind, you have to identify the possible disabilities the children will come with into your classrooms. And so the homework, the background will need to be done in order to make certain this works. This was not done and the provinces were not ready for this. The students and parents will resist this shift. The normal students and the parents of normal students will resist the shift because, as I've said earlier, we look at children with disabilities with sympathy, not with empathy. They fail to see the strength of inclusive education as a school improvement plan. The parents and even the children, even at upper levels, will not see this as a plan to improve the school, to make the school inclusive, that over time, maybe in 2-3 years' time, the school will become totally inclusive, will have normal and disabled children working together in the same classrooms. They argue that special needs children require a type of clinical care that will never be possible in a free and least restricted environment of the public school. The public or government schools are open, and so when these children with disabilities come who need special care and attention, the schools may not be able to give it to them, at least at the right time, at least in the beginning, till they learn through experiences, and that is not a good thing. You cannot learn experimenting on special needs children. The students of public schools will not accept them, and they may bully, hate, and show aggressive behavior against children with special needs. Unless children are mentally prepared to face the reality of having children with disabilities in their classrooms, they will not accept these children. They may actually begin to hate them. They may see them as interfering in their own learning and therefore will never become friendly towards these children. This is not a right move. Deep in their minds, they feel inclusive education is a threat to their jobs and future career. Special needs teachers think so, that if these children go out into regular classrooms with regular teachers, they won't have a job. So they see this as a threat to their own jobs and their own careers. This should not be. They could move into the inclusive classrooms and help the students over there instead of doing it simply on a one-on-one.